I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Hey, our last podcast of the year. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the feedback, pro and con. We're trying to make this a better product for you. I want to start out with a clip from Senator James Risch of Idaho. He was the keynote speaker at our 11th annual 2018 SBA Secondary Summit. I think you'd appreciate his comments and how he views about SBA lending, and also who's going to be the new chair of the Senate Small Business Committee next year.
One of the things, this isn't going to surprise you, I guess, after my speech. I appreciate that the SBA loan programs operate at no cost to the taxpayers. Now, that was not the way it was when I got here. And that was one of the things I focused on to make it sustainable, was to get it to the point where we could operate it without having, without the taxpayers having to subsidize it. And we got that done. And it was actually pretty easy to do, which a lot of these things around the government would be easy to do. People would take them on. My support for these programs inspired the effort I led to make sure the SBA's flagship program, the 7(a) program, remained stable for the long term. As you all know, this program has grown significantly over the past 5 years. The banks continue to struggle to get out from under regulations from the Dodd-Frank banking law and lend to small businesses. It may not surprise you to learn that I voted against Dodd-Frank and have tried to dismantle it every day since. Along with the growth of the program came congressional concerns about whether SBA had the appropriate tools to oversee the program and industry concerns about how to improve the review process. I worked together with then-Ranking Member Jean Shaheen, Chairman Steve Chabot from the House, and Ranking Member Vasquez of the House Small Business Committee to pass a bill to strengthen the oversight of the SBA's loan programs and ensure their availability for small business trying to access credit in the future. The bill was signed by the President on June 21st of this year. It's being implemented into law right now. Most recently, I introduced a bill to address a disparity between the appraisal threshold for conventional commercial real estate loans and SBA 7(a) commercial real estate loans. Right now, as you all know, SBA borrowers are at a disadvantage to conventional borrowers with an appraisal threshold of $250,000 for SBA borrowers versus $500,000 for conventional borrowers. We're trying to fix that with this legislation. The bill passed the House in September. The bill I introduced in the bipartisan bill, I introduced it in the Senate and the Small Business Committee in October. And I'm cautiously optimistic that we can get that done before the end of Congress. I look forward to the continued success of the SBA's programs, working with Senate leadership to advance business-friendly priorities, and looking for areas of common ground with the House where we can make progress on issues of importance to small businesses. As most of you probably know, I'm going to be transitioning out of the chairmanship of the Small Business Committee. I'm going to be taking on the chairmanship of the Foreign Relations Committee. So, I'm going to be leaving you in very good hands. Marco Rubio is going to be chairman of the Small Business Committee. Marco and I are close personal friends. He sits next to me on that committee. He sits next to me on the floor of the Senate. He sits next to me on the Foreign Relations Committee. He sits next to me on the Intel Committee. So Marco and I are pretty good friends. And I have every confidence that he's going to do well in this assignment. And I'm not going anywhere. I'll be sitting next. We're just going to be changing chairs on the Small Business Committee. I'll be sitting next to him, but he'll be in the chairmanship chair. So that's what I know. I wish I had time to stand here and take questions, but unfortunately, as I say, things are changing, and I've got a list of things to do to get through. Not the least of which my wife's adding to that, and so that's what you see. So. With that, God bless you all, and I'm not leaving you in the lurch. I'm going to be around. I intend to be on the Small Business Committee as long as I'm in the United States Senate. It's a tremendous passion of mine. My only regret is I can't do the same thing with what's happening with spending in America. But you know what? Somehow, someday, we're going to get through that. God bless you all. Thank you.
This week's coverage is about the summit. I want to start off with an interview I did with Bob Judge, one of my co-sponsors of the event, and he talks about SBA 7(a) prepays. We are at the 11th Annual SBA Secondary Market Summit. Bob Judge, co-founder of the event, friend. You and I have been doing this for 11 years. What is the takeaway of the event?
So far, what I found really interesting was independently, 3 different people came to a similar conclusion that this 2018 looks a lot like 2005.
Yeah, that was sort of scary.
Yeah. So, and 3 people who would know about it, myself, John, and Brent. So I found that to be one of the most interesting things is that it looks a lot like that time frame with rising prepays, and while history may not repeat itself, it tends to rhyme. So I think we might still see rising prepayments going into next year, and where they stop, we shall see.
Now, we're not predicting prepayments in terms of defaults, but we're predicting prepayments, which also includes voluntary prepayments on refinance. So we want to be clear on that. But it is awfully scary in terms of the similarities between these markets.
Yeah, and also one thing that's important to remember is that a voluntary prepayment is a win for the program. So it's something that the SBA can be proud of. So while it hurts investors, it does benefit the small business bar, which is the reason why we're all here.
Bob, tell us who's in the room. We got 4 groups. Who are they?
Basically, we have investors who are buying the end product. We have the Wall Street firms that are creating the securities as well as selling the loans to investors. We have lenders themselves who are here to learn more about the secondary market, active sellers in the market. And lastly, we have data providers or people who are involved in helping all these entities.
Well, don't forget, you missed the 4th one. SBA was here.
Oh, that's right, the SBA.
Very good. A great event, Bob. It's always great to work with you. Bob Judge, co-founder, Government Loan Solutions. Our other co-sponsor, Blank Rome Law Firm, partner Marty Techler. Here's what he had to say about the event. Marty Techler, one of the co-sponsors of the 11th Annual SBA Secondary Market Summit. As a co-sponsor, we get to invade your place. We're at the law firm at Blank Rome in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much.
Bob, we're happy to have you here. We're happy to be a sponsor of this event. We have been a sponsor for several years now, and it's always a good event.
Yeah. What is the buzz in the room? First of all, record attendance. We're an overnight success after 11 years. What is the buzz in the room, and what is your impression of the participants in the room?
It's always a very high level of participation. The people in the room know the secondary market inside and out, and they benefit greatly from being here and interacting with each other.
And it's really great that SBA supports the conference and they buy in. And they did a great session this morning talking about the intricacies of the SBA secondary market and really getting into the weeds for the investor.
Yeah, John Wade and his group do a terrific job administering the secondary market, and they do a great presentation when they're here. They're really the most valuable players in the room.
Marty, tell us what you do.
I do a lot of work with SBA lenders, both banks and non-banks, bringing them into the program, doing the regulatory work and doing their secondary market and securitization work. I also do a lot of work with small business investment companies, as you know, which is a totally different program, but nonetheless an important one for SBA.
Marty, thank you very much. I enjoyed working with you.
Thanks, Bob.
Vasu Srinivasan accepted an award on behalf of Mark Atwill's daughter. Mark Atwill passed away, unfortunately, earlier this year, and we inducted him into the SBA Secondary Market Hall of Fame.
Well, it's unfortunate that Mark is not here to receive his award himself, so I've had the privilege of knowing Mark for 25 years. I've worked with him, professionally in a variety of situations. I'm glad he's finally getting the recognition that he deserves for his contribution to the secondary market. He's a legend in the business, but those of you who have been in the secondary market would know that. And I think his family is going to be extremely proud and happy this Christmas, that he got this recognition, even though he's no longer with us. And his daughter, Haley, has the same trading instinct that Mark had, and she works for a competing firm in Memphis. And I'd be happy to make sure that she gets the award so that she can take it back to her family in time for Christmas. Thank you.
As I've said before, I have a pretty cool gig. I really enjoyed this year's competition to name the Coleman SBA Professional Lenders of the Year. Several of them showed up in Washington, D.C. to accept the award. We had Ty Massey, Jennifer Erickson, Brooke Marks, and Christopher McFadder all show up. Here's the presentation.
I'll start with Ty Massey. And Ty, I should read this to be more specific. You got promoted on Monday?
Yes.
To Senior Vice President of Paragon Bank, so congratulations, Ty. He is a Coleman Emerging Lender of the Year, one who is under 40 years old. And Ty, congratulations, come on. Jennifer is the director. Well, standing important. She's the director of business development with the Community Reinvestment Fund based in Minneapolis. She is the Coleman SBA Mission-Based Lender of the Year. She's extremely dedicated for getting capital to access to underserved communities. Jennifer, well deserved. And our SBA Woman of the Year is Brooke Marks, president of Sunshine State Environmental Economic Development Company. And let me just give you some stats. This time I can pull it up, Ty. Sorry, I didn't get to embellish with you. She's new to the industry. When she started with the company in 2016, it was 69th in the country with only 17 loans. Last year, they moved up to 48th in the country with 32 loans, almost doubling it, for $27 million. I read her nomination package. It was very impressive and well-deserved. Brooke, congratulations.
Thank you for joining us today and for the year to the Coleman Report update and supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.